What is up, Edison Duelists? This is Dionysus, aka Young Puds, coming at you guys with some more shameless hypebeast Gigavise content. So, per the suggestion of user BobJames06, I will be showing you guys a matchup against Vayu Turbo. And now I have to say, one of the most common questions I get about Gigavise is that, well, this deck seems good, but what if your Lone Fire Blossom gets dust shooted? What if you get hit with Deck Devastation Virus? Well, folks, I hope this match can answer those questions and assuage some of your fears. So, once again, we've lost the die roll. Our opponent is going to open up with a pretty decent hand, seeing some power cards such as Return and Trap Dust Shoot and a Bottomless and a Hamster to set to boot. He's going to go ahead, hold the Rhoda, hold the Greffer, hope to get a Raikou in the mix, get some mills going, and start off from there. Of course, you can definitely afford to be pretty passive when you open up with such a powerful card on your first turn like Trap Dust Shoot. Now for ourselves, already I'm seeing this hand, and when I see Fertilizer and Hidden Armory and Lone Fire Blossom, my plan is pretty straightforward. I'm going to Lone Fire Blossom to try and get a Titanial on board, and then next turn I'm going to Fertilizer the Lone Fire back to get a Gigaplant, use Hidden Armory to get the Supervise and combo from there. If I have the Titanial on the field still, that's going to help insulate me against maybe an MST on the Fert or the Supervise, maybe a Compulse, maybe a Book of Moon. If the Titanial isn't on the field anymore, that means they've expended some resources. So let's see how this works out for us. I draw into UFO Turtle. Not the best draw, but similar to SSN in the current builds, if you see this card once you already have Lone Fire Blossom, you're kind of okay with that. You're always going to need cards to discard for your discard traps, for Lightning Vortex, for DDR, so you can afford to have some dead cards if they're dead when your hand is live, and if they're live when you don't have a Lone Fire Blossom, if that makes sense. So speaking of this, we are not going to get to keep our Lone Fire Blossom. He is going to go ahead and get rid of that for us, which is definitely quite a big shame. So we are here going to go ahead and set the Dandelion. I think it's possible this is a Raikou, so I don't want to commit the UFO Turtle just yet. Maybe I even want to try and get in a position where I can just ram that into his monster. So I think setting the Dandy is kind of a good safe bet. It's going to help us stall, give us some more time to draw into something better. And speaking of something better for him, he's going to draw into that Deck Devastation Virus. And as you can see, our hand is fertile ground to just get demolished by this virus. So he is going to go ahead and set the Return and set the Greffer. I think he's reading that we're kind of afraid of Raikou, and he knows our hand. He knows that we're kind of weak. So he's going to try and represent that he has more set monsters. So we're just going to be forced to set the UFO Turtle and pass. We'll give it back to him. He draws into the Heavy Storm. And from here, he is going to go ahead and flip the Hamster to get a set Raikou. He is going to fire the Rhoda to get Armageddon Knight. And he will normal summon the Armageddon Knight to send Plague Spreader Zombie. He's going to attack the first set, or the newest set, with the Hamster, discover that it is UFO Turtle, so he is going to attack the other one because he knows it is either Dandy or Copy. It is the Dandy, so we're going to get our tokens, and now he is going to make what looks to me to be a questionable play for the moment. He is going to bring back the Plague, summon the Brio just as a level 6 body, and then he's actually going to fire Return to very aggressively make a Thought Ruler Archfiend, which is going to make his Deck Devastation Virus live. From my end, not knowing that he had the DDV, I was like, wow, this is kind of a questionable play. And I did see that he was very highly rated. I'm not sure what my rating was at the time of playing this, but this guy was well above 1500. So, I wasn't writing this off as a beginner's mistake. And of course, after I draw and he fires the Deck Devastation Virus, then it all kind of comes together and makes sense. So this is definitely not the worst situation to be deck devied. We still have the Cyber Dragon, which I am playing in this list to convert the Nettles or the Copy Plant. Not going to be able to do much of that. Instead, Cyber Dragon is just kind of going to exist as a body. So I will be able to swing into the Armageddon Knight I'm at least getting bodies off his field. I know I'm not really advancing the game state. I'm probably just going to get it destroyed by the Ryko. However, from where I'm sitting, I just need to have some sort of board presence before I get completely blown out. Now, he is going to flip some of the Dark Grepher, which is definitely a surprise to me. I did not expect that. Setting monsters that aren't normally set, there can be a lot of power in that because your opponent is just not going to see it coming. So he's able to make the Goyo Guardian to steal my Cyber Dragon, and I am in trouble now. I top deck another Miracle Fertilizer and show it to him, so he does know that we have 3 Miracle Fertilizers, but I don't exactly have any targets. What am I going to do? A Miracle Fertilizer for a Dandelion? No, that'll just get Ryko'd, and then the tokens will get destroyed. So I'm just going to pass and hope that whatever he top decked with Plague last turn is not enough to get him there. And he's going to get in for well over half, swinging with the Sidra and the Goyo. And now, I am definitely on the ropes. I draw into a Lone Fire Blossom, but we are still under Deck Devi, so it is going to be destroyed. But hey, we have 3 fertilizers, and now those are super live. So what are we going to do? We're going to fire the first fertilizer, bring back Lone Fire Blossom. Lone Fire is going to activate. It is going to go ahead and summon the second Lone Fire, which is going to activate and summon the Giga Plant, which of course he will have the Bottomless Trap Hole for. No matter, we have a second Miracle Fertilizer, so we are going to go ahead and bring back the Lone Fire and summon the second Giga Plant right from our deck. At this point, we can feel free to equip the Supervise, bring back Copy Plant, and make... That's right, folks, it's Black Rose Dragon. This is going to get rid of the very threatening 2800 attack point Goyo Guardian, as well as the very threatening Ryko that we are aware of. So we are going to clear the board, and we get to bring back our Giga Plant, and then we just have the very straightforward third Miracle Fertilizer right into Lone Fire, right on in to Titanial, at which point we can safely swing for game. And we are going to now proceed to game 2, which is always a little scary against Vayu Turbo. They have very potent side deck options. If they're not maining the Royal Oppression, we know those can come in. Vanity's Fiend, DD Crow, these are all things that we have to worry about. And we do see again that he has drawn into a Vanity's Fiend off of his Allure. He has the Deck Devastation Virus live, and he has the DD Crow. So we definitely have quite the uphill battle if we're going to win. Fortunately, we're not completely out of the woods. Sangan is going to be able to find our Lone Fire Blossom for us. Dandelion is always welcome in hand. This build does play 3 Giga Plants, so drawing 1 is not the end of the world. We still have plenty of gas left in deck, but I tell you what, folks, Vanity's Fiend is the end of the world for us. This is definitely going to be a problem. We don't have any clean outs to it. From where I'm sitting right here, our best bet is probably going to be something like Foolish Burial, just to get a plant in Graveyard, and Hidden Armory for Mark of the Rose, so that in the future turn, we can try and mark the Vanity's Fiend and tribute it for a Gigaplant. So we draw into Decree, which is definitely nice to see. So we will just Hidden Armory for the mark and set the Decree. And now the good thing about Vanity's Fiend being up, if there is anything, is it's going to be hard for him to spam out a lot of monsters. So, if you're at 8,000 life points, you're usually going to be pretty safe into Vanity's Fiend. And indeed, he is just going to swing and set a monster and pass it back to us. We're going to end phase Decree. We probably don't need to do this. He didn't set this turn. So, especially with one set, you could probably just hold the Decree and that's going to be just fine. So since we did fire it early, he is going to be able to deck Devi, taking the Dandy and the Lone Fire out of our hand. He asked me to reveal my hand, and then he also points out that Decree does get to stay. Just because he changed the trap to it doesn't mean it's not in the field anymore, which is definitely good for us. It'll protect us against that Bottomless Trap Hole in the future. And then we draw into the Win More card of Heavy Storm, which is definitely not the most useful thing for us right now. However, we are able to play because we can just tribute the tokens for the Gigaplant, give it the Supervise, and unfortunately for us, he does have the DD Crow to knock the Lone Fire Blossom out of our graveyard, so we are forced to settle for just summoning the Dandelion. We do have the Foolish Burial in hand, so you could argue that the correct way to play around Crow there would be to fire the Foolish in advance, but frankly, I'm just not that prescient. I didn't think of doing that. and so we are going to be forced to settle for a subpar board. He does Necrogardna to protect this, so we can be pretty sure it's not a Raikou. I'm not sure the value of protecting a Raikou. And we also saw in game 1 that he is able to set just about anything. So, like with that set Greffer. So I'm really not sure what his set is. And then he does have the brain control to take our Gigaplant. Would have been nice to have a Titanial, but of course he stopped that with his Crow. He's going to tribute the Gigaplant with to summon Sirocco. We do get Gigaplant back from Supervise, but he flips up his Vayu, and he's going to be able to Sirocco pump that up to 28 to get Gigaplant off the field. So we are definitely on the ropes. We're still under Deck Devi. He has a much stronger board presence. We do have the Decree up, but he's not committing any traps. And the Decree up also effectively means our Heavy Storm is dead. Now we do draw a Supervise here, which is not going to help us immediately, but if we can find our way into a DDR or even draw another Gigaplant, that is definitely going to be good for us. So we're going to think for a little bit, think about the situation. We could go ahead and fire the Mark of the Rose for something, but here I am actually just going to go ahead and Foolish Burial a Plague Spreader Zombie. I think, Plague Spreader Zombie, especially with the Cyber Dragons, is an excellent choice. I know Sam, who got top 8 at UTW, does play Plague Spreader Zombie, and I think, you'll find that Plague is really great at just boosting the ceiling of your deck. So I have a couple options here with the Plague. I could make something like a Goyo, but what I'm really interested is trying to find my way to a DDR to go with the Supervise and close out the game. So I was able to top deck the Heavy Storm. That's going to prevent me from drawing something that'll just, get blown out by DDV. So I'm able to Mark of the Rose to take his Sirocco, and now I can fire the Power Tool Dragon, which is going to reveal 3. So I'm going to show him 2 DDRs and another Supervise. If we get the Supervise, which we do, it's just giving us that much stronger of a position once we do find our way to the DDR. But of course we would have preferred the DDR. Now he draws into a Mind Crush, which is essentially dead because of our Royal Decree. So what does he do? He's going to switch the Vayu into defense and then take that back. Fortunately, I'm a nice guy, so I let him do that. He's just going to swing into the Dandelion to get it off the field, get 2 more tokens. I think that's a fine play. If he's able to put together a sweeper, that's going to be a little stronger. And, I already had like 2 tributes available if I draw into a Titanial, so it's not the end of the world. I forget to show him the Lightning Vortex right away, and, he does get a little peeved that I'm already resolving the Power Tool Dragon. I feel bad for that, and I end up clicking 3 monsters instead of 3 equips. So, I apologize for that. We put the Gigaplant back, and now we're going to try again to do Power Tool's effect, and this time we'll reveal 2 DDRs and the Mark of the Rose. We do get the DDR this time, and then I will also show him the Lightning Vortex that I drew for turn. So we have the DDR, so we are definitely ready to go, but I am a little leery of this set, so I figure, while we're in a fine position now, let's just clear the set, see what it is. And it is a Raikou, so we are going to lose our Decree, which is definitely a shame, especially considering that he has 2 traps in hand. He's going to mill. He mills a Vayu, which is very good for him. He doesn't even have to worry about getting the one off the field. He can now immediately make like an Armed Wing with that Sirocco, so this is something we're going to have to worry about. Fortunately, his graveyard is just so full of darks, I don't think we're going to have to be particularly concerned about Dad, which is always a good feeling against Vayu Turbo. So in main phase 2, we're just going to go ahead and DDR for the Lone Fire Blossom before things get too out of hand, and get another Lone Fire Blossom, and then just go right for a Titanial. Our board is already full, so committing a Gigavise or a Gigaplant with the Supervise is just going to be a little too much. Now we have a board full of plants ready to stop anything that targets. I'm feeling pretty good about this, folks. And, he definitely knows that he is on the ropes. So he's going to go ahead and summon that Armed Wing just to be able to start to contest my board. And what does he do? He is going to kill 1 Lone Fire with the Vayu and the other with an Armed Wing. Now, I still have a pretty strong board. There is not a ton that he can do. And he is going to take his time to think. He's going to set the hamster and then set both of his traps and pass it back to us. We draw the Debris Dragon. This is another card that I don't really play anymore. I think it does have merit. I think it's, it's pretty cool. Like right here, we're going to be able to bring back the Dandy and make a Stardust Dragon and keep our board nice and full of Dandy tokens. So we do have a very live Titanial. We have Stardust Dragon. Our board is definitely going to be pretty resilient. I can feel safe swinging into Fossil Dino, swinging into Raikou, or in this case, swinging into the hamster. So we are just going to run over the Vayu with the Power Tool and run over the Armed Wing with the Titanial. I'm not feeling particularly threatened by the Raikou, so I just let it ride. And it looks like his traps aren't anything. It's also hard to find a trap that's going to really help you against Titanial and Stardust. So he is just going to try and kind of clear the way. He's going to Vayu for an Armor Master to just crash with the Stardust Dragon, and we draw into probably the best thing we could draw, another DDR. We still have the Gigaplant vanished, so this is just an excellent position for us. Now that we have lost the Stardust, we're just going to play around Mirror Force. We're going to pop that Titanial in defense and attack into the Raikou. He is just going to mill, hopefully, maybe trying to find something. I'm not sure what exactly he's trying to find. I guess Plague or maybe another Vayu, but he is definitely on the ropes here. He does have his 2 sets, and what does he draw? He draws into a Dark Grepher. So now he does have a chance to maybe make a Goyo, maybe make a Bryo. He's going to Mind Crush, call Lightning Vortex to get it out of our hand, keep his board a little bit safer, and he's going to activate the Grepher, and before he even resolves it, folks, he is going to realize that he has been beaten. He doesn't even know we have the DDR, and he is going to end the game, giving us the win. So I hope this match really showed off that, Gigavise is a pretty resilient deck. Everyone wants to talk about the bricking problem, and of course this deck can brick. This is Yu-Gi-Oh! This is a game that does have a good amount of variance, so any deck really can brick, and, call it cope if you want. I think the bricking problem in a well-built Gigavise list, that the ones that we're seeing now, are just not so extreme. I also think the deck is really resilient. I think this shows you that Deck Devastation Virus is just not the answer. I was under Deck Devi both games, and I still got the 2-0. I also, had to deal with Vanity's Fiend, and I think I dealt with that just fine. Even if he didn't get rid of the Vanity's Fiend for me with DDV, I would have just had the Mark of the Rose for it. So I think he knew that. That's why he was willing to tribute it. But anyways, I want to thank you guys for all the support. Leave a comment. Let me know what deck you would like to see me face off against with Gigavise next. Leave a comment if you have any questions about the deck. Please do subscribe if you haven't already. It really helps the channel. It really encourages me to keep making this shameless hypebeast Gigavise content for you guys. Other than that, tomorrow's Monday. Let's have a great week. Let's play some Yu-Gi-Oh! When we get a chance, and let's just be our best selves. This is Dionysus, aka Young Puds, signing off.